But okay, so we at this convention, I heard a lot of background noise about feminism, and you can't run from it. I actually love sharing that topic with you guys because you guys have a lot to say. But you know, I think when women are that extreme, they're not speaking a language. I think when men are that extreme, they're not speaking a big language. You know, how can we as men like get more in touch with who we are and what we should be doing rather than listening to these extreme movements of the MRAs and then the you know, the feminists and all this confusion back and forth?
Fatherhood. Fatherhood. Every problem that we see out in the social world comes back to an underfathered generation, the second or third generation of underfathered American kids. And as far as I'm concerned, feminism exists to destroy fatherhood. That feminism is the women's auxiliary of the Marxist movement. It is part and parcel of Marxism. And Marxism wants to undermine all social institutions, but the perfect social institution to undermine is the family. And the way you undermine the family is remove the father. And this is what feminism, whatever goals feminists insist they're seeking, what they have successfully done is remove fathers from the family. And an unfathered family is an arm of the state because mom and the kids have nowhere else to turn but to the state, whether it's family court or the welfare system, one way or another, they become yet another agency of the state because they have nowhere else to go. Our civilization was built by hoplite Greeks, by fathers, serious, dedicated fathers who were fully married, fully committed to their children, fully committed to their lands, and if necessary, they would fight to defend their lands, and if they needed to defend their territory, they would join together in phalanxes and fight as armies to repel invaders. This is the story of the 300, a wonderful movie for men to see if you want to see masculinity at its finest. But I think that's what feminism is, and if people want to send me hate mail about that, feel free. I'm easy to find. I'm not going to give you my email address, but just Google Greg Swan. You'll find me. I'm not trying to be confrontational or provocative. I'm trying to defend fatherhood because that's what's going to repair civilization.
I mean, what I hear you saying is an enforced culture.
That's the
It's
alternative.
a terrible thing.
Well,
right?
that's the alternative to father-led homes. There is no alternative to father-led homes except tyranny, and it may not happen right away, but if you're moving toward tyranny, eventually you get to North Korea.
Well, and I'd say we have clear examples of where that's heading. Now, I'll say two major prongs on thoughts. I'm normally very vocal against feminism. I find it just a heinous, immoral proposition. It's for a number of reasons. But I would sit down and say the phenomenal thing about the 21 Convention is James Marshall's speech covered a lot about feminism. I was directly offended by some of the things he said. I thought they were outrageous. I found them repugnant. I had an opportunity to address that in the hallway, remarkably enough. And not necessarily I was directing him, it was a question, but we're standing together literally.
Yeah.
And for the first time, and I know many times guys who deal with human rights issues or any of those things where you talk about things, we're just not heard. And that's our biggest,
Right.
we're just,
Yeah.
and so I literally spoke at length because the Jameses were there, the Jameses
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Nick Sparks, and all 6 foot
Yeah, I
monsters,
know.
I know. So you came right up on the tail end of that. So James McLean was literally asking, well, tell me about this, and the story led directly to these things. And I had to acknowledge James Marshall on some of the things he did, absolutely very, very clear, and he was right. But he did something a feminist never has done before with me. I've never experienced before. He listened.
Right.
He truly listened. Now, I don't know what he was thinking, but I don't care, okay? He respected me and created room for dialogue. And right now, there is no room for dialogue. Absolutely not room for dialogue. I have been threatened. I've been put on FBI watch list because of just the fact that I spoke up, that I wanted a voice to be able to talk about rational things in a rational, sane way. And so we can sit down and say we can argue all those things, but the reality is I can't get to the future if I keep looking in the past.
Yeah, see, I mean, like, I really agree with you. James told me his speech was going to be very controversial, like, a couple months ago. And so I was interested to hear.